All right, here we are. Well, I'm kind of feeling a little bit ambivalent here. Um, I was doing a thing before with the reading cow where there's, Sansar and the cow. Sansar's got such a bad reputation. Never saying, how rich people could really screw themselves over more than with that whole thing. I worked for that Linden Lab company, and it's like they had a second life, and that's sort of like, it's a people like date on there. It's like an online dating thing. Get pretty wild. But they like to say, "Oh well, Second Life is so much more than the sex stuff," But I think sort of like Playboy magazine. There's a lot of other stuff besides just the pictures of nude women. But really, I think the the sex stuff is why people buy it. But yeah, what I'm talking about is I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my computer, and I'm like, do I want to get the reading cow going again? And the first thing I guess needs to happen is I need to bring him up. So let's see. There's some mystery. What's going to happen to Sansar when I start it? Don't install Sansar, man. Cause your computer to overheat. Well, it says it's up to date. Wow, I haven't installed it in a long time. I'm getting ready to run it. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this. I'm still in I think it's the author's preface of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. So what does it say? In a remote solitude, vanity may still whisper in my ear that my readers perhaps may inquire whether, in the conclusion of the present work, I am now taking an everlasting farewell. They shall hear all I know myself, and all that I could reveal to the most intimate friend. The motives of action or silence are now equally balanced, nor can I pronounce in my most secret thoughts on which side the scale will preponderate. I cannot dissemble that 6 quartos must have tried and may have exhausted the indulgence of the public. That in the repetition of similar attempts, the successful author has much more to lose than he can hope to gain. That I am now descending into the vale of years, and that the most respectable of my countrymen, the men whom I aspire to imitate, have resigned the pen of history about the same period of their lives. Yet I consider that the annals of ancient and modern times may afford many rich and interesting subjects, that I am still possessed of health and leisure, that by the practice of writing some skill and facility must be acquired, and that in the ardent pursuit of truth and knowledge I am not conscious of decay. To an active mind, indolence is more painful than labor. I love that. And the first months of my liberty will be occupied and amused in the excursions of curiosity and taste. By such temptations I have been sometimes seduced from the rigid duty even of a pleasing and voluntary task, but my time will now be my own, and in the use or abuse of independence, I shall no longer fear my own reproaches or those of my friends. I am fairly entitled to a year of jubilee. Next summer and the following winter will rapidly pass away, and experience only can determine whether I shall prefer the freedom and variety of study to the design and composition of a regular work, which animates while it confines the daily application of the author. Caprice and accident may influence my choice, but the dexterity of self-love will contrive to applaud either active industry or philosophic repose. Downing Street, May 1st, 1780. He lives in Downing Street? What? P.S. Postscript. I shall embrace this opportunity of introducing 2 verbal remarks. Are remarks ever nonverbal? Not that I'm... 2 verbal remarks. He puts italics. But this is a book, dude. How's it verbal? Yeah. Right. Which have not conveniently offered themselves to my notice. 1. As often as I use the definitions of beyond the Alps, the Rhine, the Danube, etc., and I generally suppose myself at Rome, and afterwards at Constantinople, without observing whether this relative geography may agree with the local but variable situation of the reader or the historian. 2. In proper names of foreign and especially of Oriental origin, it should always be our aim to express in our English version a faithful copy of the original. But this rule, which is founded on a just regard to uniformity and truth, must often be relaxed, and the exceptions will be limited or enlarged by the custom of language and the taste of the interpreter. Our alphabets may be often defective. A harsh sound, an uncouth spelling might offend the ear or the eye of our countrymen, and some words notoriously corrupt are fixed and, as it were, naturalized in the vulgar tongue. The Prophet Muhammad may no longer be stripped of the famous though improper appellation of Mahomet. The well-known cities of Aleppo, Damascus, and Cairo would almost be lost in the strange description of Halab, Damascus, and Al-Qahira. The titles and offices of the Ottoman Empire are fashioned by the practice of 300 years, and we are pleased to blend the 3 Chinese monosyllables Confuci. He writes it T. It's supposed to be Z, right? So they don't say that. Chinese people say Kongzi, right? Kongzi. Something like that. It's much closer. If you say Confuci, sounds like you're saying footsie. You say that to a Chinese, they'll be like, what the hell is that? In the respectable name of Confucius, he confused us. Yeah. Yeah, that's what American college students say. Because I was in a class on the intellects of Confucius, and everybody was saying, he confuses us. Confuse us. Yeah. Or even to adopt the Portuguese corruption of Mandarin. He's going to adopt the Portuguese corruption of Mandarin. Oh, great. Chinese people will never be able to understand what he meant. Yeah. But I would vary the use of Zoroaster and Zerdusht. I've never heard of Zerdusht, so I'm glad you're on the Zoroaster. I know that. All right. As I drew my information from Greece or Persia, since our connection with India, the genuine Timur is restored to the throne of Tamerlane. He calls Timur, right, the throne of Tamerlane. Our most correct writers have retrenched the al. That's the definite article, al, Arabic, right? The superfluous article from the Quran, and we escape an ambiguous termination by adopting Muslim instead of Musulman. in the plural number. In these, and in a thousand examples, the shades of distinction are often minute, and I can feel where I cannot explain the motives of my choice. All right. Chapter 1, the extent of the empire in the age of the Antonines.